Everybody wants happiness. It's a universal human desire. But it's a desire not easily satisfied. We search without finding it, and when we do find it, it doesn't seem to last very long.
Why is it that it is so difficult for us to hold on to contentment? And why are we so fleeting, and why are we so fickle? Why is it that one day the things that make us happy, the next day bring us misery?
Happiness, get over yourself. What happiness? You know, life is going to be always challenging, is always going to be a pain, so get over it.
I don't think it's that much of a mystery. If you don't have a job that you like, and you're not having sex, you're just not going to be happy.
I think happiness is a temporary state, but it's a juicy one.
I'm Dan Gilbert. I'm a social psychologist and a professor here at Harvard University. For centuries, happiness has been a subject for poets and philosophers. But in the last few decades, psychologists, neuroscientists, even economists have begun to study happiness using the same scientific methods they use to study every other aspect of human behavior. Of course, scientists have only recently gotten into the happiness business, but that business has been booming for a long time.
You have to train your mind to recall the simple successes you can have.
Turn on the television, surf the web, visit a bookstore, and you'll see that there's no shortage of people offering advice about happiness.
Success University. Gonna be fun, y'all.
All my needs, desires, and goals.
They're all part of a large and growing business known as the self-help industry.
The liberation from the horizontal image.
This industry may or may not have made anyone happy, but it's definitely made some people very rich. Last year, Americans spent about $10 billion on self-help.
You're in the preferred section.
Much of that money was brought in by conferences like this one, run by Hay House, a leading self-help publisher. Hay House sells books and DVDs on everything from diet and personal fitness to fairy magic and angel therapy.
Wow. There's a lot of money to be spent here.
Yes, there is.
Yes. How much money are you going to spend here?
Not that much. Well, we didn't even make it around the tables, but it looks like we're going to be spending a lot. Stuff looks great.
The desire for happiness drives different people toward different things. Some have come here hoping to lose weight. Some are hoping to find a new partner, a new career, or a whole new view of the universe.
Unbelievably, amazingly in the mind over body connection.
Yeah. Getting a better job, love,
yep.
relationships,
all the
that
good
kind
things
of
in
stuff.
life.
But some people have come here with very serious problems, and they may not be in the right place. Many have been drawn by Louise Hay, the founder of Hay House. She claims to have cured herself of cancer through positive thinking and other self-help techniques, and she tells others that they can do it too. Although her claims have never been medically verified, she's been a guest on Oprah, and her memoir, Heal Your Life, has sold over 35 million copies, making her one of the best-selling authors of all time.
Please join me in welcoming Louise Hay.
I choose the thoughts that make me feel good. And if you will be very careful about the thoughts you think, that you choose to think.
Hay is right when she says that our thoughts affect our feelings and that we have some control over the thoughts we think.
Life loves you. I love you. Do you love you? That's the important thing. Thank you. Thank you. I accept. I do. You're damn right.
But Hay also believes that thoughts are the cause of all misfortunes.
Because remember, somebody who has depression is choosing thoughts that make them feel rotten.
That by thinking the wrong way, we can give ourselves cancer or AIDS or depression, cause cars to hit us, or make ourselves the target of a terrorist attack.
And when I became 80, I decided that it was going to be the best decade of my entire life. And it is. I'm 82.
As I go through your book, I see all sorts of maladies and various kinds of thoughts that you say can cause them. Alzheimer's is an inability to face life, leprosy, inability to handle life at all.
Oh, you're picking the fun ones. People who have Alzheimer's are really removing themselves from life completely.
How do you know? How do you know what you're saying is right?
My inner ding.
Your inner ding?
My inner ding.
Ding?
It speaks to me, yes. It feels right or it doesn't feel right. Happiness is choosing thoughts that make you feel good. It's really very simple.
I hear you saying that even if there were no proof for what you believed, or even if there was scientific evidence against it.
Oh, I don't believe in scientific evidence. I really don't. And science is fairly new. It hasn't been around that long. We think it's such a big deal, but it's, it's just a way of looking at life.
But you're telling it to millions of people, and you're telling them it's right for them, too.
I'm telling them what's right for me. My inner ding, that's all I can say.
You know what? Science is fairly new. But when we want to know what causes stars to explode or butterflies to migrate, we rely on scientific evidence rather than our inner ding. So why not do the same thing to find out what causes human happiness?
For thousands of years, philosophers were asking about happiness and talking about happiness, but without any data. And only probably in the last 30 or 40 years have we actually collected scientific data, rigorous data, measured happiness, and started to begin to see what is it that leads to happiness.
Psychologist Ed Diener is a pioneer in the study of happiness. Since 1980, he and his collaborators have crossed the globe to measure it, surveying diverse communities from the Maasai tribe in Africa to the Inuit of northern Canada to the Amish of rural Pennsylvania and many, many others. And the methods Diener uses are as diverse as his subjects.
In happiness research, we ask people how happy they are on a 1 to 10 scale. We also look at brain waves. You can look at hormones like cortisol that reflects stress, for example. You can also ask family and friends how happy that person is, because family and friends see how happy they say they are and how happy they act in everyday lives.
Diener has gathered data on nearly 250,000 people and has found that the happy ones have better health, better relationships, better sex lives, better careers, and better just about everything else.
We think that's an evolutionary thing, and the people who are happy probably out-achieve the other people and out-reproduce them, and there's more of us around now.
Diener's findings have been confirmed by psychologists, neuroscientists, and economists around the world. We now know a great deal about what actually makes people happy, and it isn't always what we think. What does happiness mean to you?
I'm a firm believer in money is happiness, okay? I have to be honest.
With my children, because I love my children.
I like my summer camp the best.
Is that the best? That makes you happy? What do you do to make yourself happier?
Well, I don't mean to be recalcitrant, but I don't do anything in order to be happy.
Rolling down your window, and turn the music on, letting the breeze come in.
What would you say is your greatest source of happiness?
Well, I get a great deal of happiness from beautiful jewelry.
Jewelry?
Yes.
There are a lot of different opinions about what causes happiness, but research suggests that not all of them are exactly on target. And do you think marriage is a source of happiness?
Most of the time.
Depends on what your marriage is like.
What do you think about marriage? Do you think it's a source of happiness for most people?
No.
What about marriage? Do you think married people are happier than unmarried people?
No. I don't think they're less happy. I think it just depends.
Not everyone lives happily ever after, of course, but studies do show that, on average, married people are wealthier, healthier, and, yes, happier than others. Do you think children make people happy?
I think so.
I mean, I think they'll be a part of my happiness.
Yes or no? Do children make you happy?
Mine do.
So what about those bundles of joy? Well, studies show that parents are no happier than non-parents and are often less happy. Can money buy happiness?
No, it doesn't.
Do you think money can buy happiness? Can it bring happiness?
No.
Does money buy happiness?
Not at all.
What about money? Do you think money makes people happy?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. And the more the better?
For me, especially, the more the better.
Guess what? Money does cause happiness. On average, the more money people have, the happier they tend to be. So money, yes. Marriage, probably. Children, not so much. What science is teaching us about these and many other things is that they are related to happiness, but not necessarily in the way you might think.
I grew up in the South Bronx. We had every gang banger, the Savage Skulls and the Bloods and the this and the that. It was difficult to survive, and I was always one paycheck away from being homeless. So, for 2.5 years, every week, regardless of what the jackpot was, I would go in and just play the lottery.
Falcon won $45 million. He is New York's single largest winner ever. Today, the former starving artist said he'll take his winnings and begin his dream performance, a one-man show he calls A Short Puerto Rican Guy Sings Songs of Angst.
And now I can afford to rent out a theater and do it the way I want to do it. I'm a performance artist. Usually people are always telling me what it is I should be doing, and I shouldn't be doing that, and I should be doing this, and now I'm just going to do it my way.
Flash, bam, wonderful you came by.
Life is change, and money is going to change you. I moved into a beautiful building, an uber luxury apartment in an uber luxury building. I'm getting all the things that I dreamt of getting. Anything Italian is a great pleasure. It applies to so many things. The art, the clothing, all the good stuff is from Italy. It just is, you know. It's the fun of collecting, and I've always been a collector.
When people are asked what would most improve their lives, they almost always say more money. But are they right?
We've done a lot of research on money and happiness over the last couple decades, and what we find is coming out of poverty increases your happiness. So if you take somebody who wins a lottery and they were in financial trouble, they had no money, it could make a significant difference to their happiness. Now, on the other hand, what if the richest man in the world wins a 100 million lottery? And now instead of having 50 billion, he has 50 billion and 100 million. It's nothing. So it really does make a difference where you start in terms of what kind of impact money will make.
When it comes to happiness, every dollar you earn buys just a little bit less than the last one. Of course, if money doesn't make you happy, then you just might not be spending it right.
What we know about lottery winners is that when they make changes in their life and lose their friends, when they make changes in their life and misspend money on drugs and so forth, from a number of cases we know that that's going to make you unhappy. On the other hand, some people who use their money correctly, and they use their money to help their family, they use their money to help charity, those kind of people can be happier.
The thought came to me, oh my goodness, I'll be able to, send my niece and nephew to college, be able to pay for college. And I got weak in the knees. I never would have thought I'd be able to give them anything but, flying kites and an occasional electrified train or something. I mean, here's the idea that they can go to college, at any college. Oh, did the new money strain any relationships? Yes, quite a few. There were friends that I've had, all my friends were struggling painters, writers, singers, performance artists, whatever, and a few of them couldn't handle it. All of a sudden I became something else to them, and they just couldn't handle it. Why? I don't know, because we stopped speaking. But, there are other friends who did hang around, and we're still friends.
Okay.
He's very open. You don't meet people that are as open as he is that often. John is the person you can laugh with, you can get serious with, you can argue with. And he's just a very stimulating, fun, interesting man.
Lois Mervis is one of John Falcone's oldest friends. She met him 20 years ago when both were struggling artists.
Wow, these are beautiful.
After John won the lottery, he hired Lois to help design and decorate his home.
Yeah, it needs to be longer or thicker or something just to be a little more presentational. But it's a beautiful doorknob.
I don't know if I've ever told this to John. When my husband came home and told me that John had won the lottery, I got very concerned. I thought, oh, poor John, what a responsibility. Money is fun. Money gives you the freedom to do all kinds of things, but it's also a burden. And I've always impressed with John. I have to give him credit for that. He's a frivolous man, but he's not foolish. And I've watched him take this responsibility and have fun and yet be supportive to his family. So he's taken all of these elements that are quite often misused, and he's used them very well.
It takes a lot more work to be happy than it does to be unhappy, to be miserable. Misery is so easy. You can just go right into it. I'm unhappy about this. I don't like that color. I don't like scallops. I don't like it. You can just go right into it and just it snowballs. It snowballs. But being happy / content takes work. You have to work at it. Yeah, I think so far it's been fun. But is it a life well lived? I don't think a life well lived depends on money. So I don't know if my life is well lived. I think other people have to judge that.
Anyone that tells you money doesn't bring happiness is an ass, is a fool.
I think what happens with more money is that there are more highs available. So there's more access to shopping, drugs, trips. There's more access to highs. So if we call that happiness, yeah, more available. But I don't call that happiness.
There is no key to happiness in my book, except maybe, another $20 million film, which will never happen. So I can't look forward to great happiness ahead.
Money can't buy you fulfillment. It can sometimes buy you peace of mind, but it can't make you a happier person. And in some ways, knowing that makes you even less of a happy person.
So what is the relationship between money and happiness? Well, most of us think that if we were a whole lot richer, we'd be a whole lot happier. But research shows this isn't necessarily true. So why do we all believe it? Well, as it turns out, people aren't very good at predicting what will and won't make them happy.